Well, we're in the middle of the second surge of the pandemic, but what is interesting is the way the pandemic has been handled. There's been, the political cost of the pandemic is something that we are going to be discussing in today's program. Has it affected Prime Minister Narendra Modi's popularity? Most would say yes, despite what the BJP tell you. There seems to be a drop because at the end of the day, the overall message of the pandemic is a lot could have been avoided. It's been mishandled to an extent where, the blame cannot be shifted away from the prime minister. Yes, the BJP will say the states didn't give feedback, it is the states at fault. But at the end of the day, the blame does come right at the door of the center. So, and in fact, there's also been an opinion poll recently done by C Voter, which says that 37% of the people were very much satisfied with the Modi government. This number fell from 65% in 2020. There's also been a US data intelligence company, Morning Consult, that did a similar poll. They started polling since August 2019. And they are saying in March 21, the Prime Minister's, by May 21, his ratings had come to 63%, but it had fallen 22 points in April 21 itself. That, as you recall, is really when the pandemic has hit us more, especially in Maharashtra and Delhi. To discuss the developments with me, I have a panel. Joining me is Suhail Seth. He's a commentator, columnist, and a marketing maven. Shankar Iyer, he's the author of The Gated Republic. He's also a columnist and commentator. So Yashwant Deshmukh, he's in fact the one who did the C Voter poll. He's a director at C Voter. And Sanjay Kumar, director at the Center for Study of Developing Societies and also a psephologist. Mr. Deshmukh, I'll begin with you since it's really your poll that is the trigger for this conversation. Can you just help us, give us the details of what the poll said and why you did it at this point?
Yeah, I will start with the second point first. It's not a question of why. We do it every day. It is just that the media has started picking it now. I mean, it's a daily exercise. We have been running a daily tracker. We have been running a weekly tracker for almost 15 years. And then after that, from 1st of January 2019, we have been running it on a daily basis. And the data has been evident very much that Mr. Modi's ratings have been all along extremely high, superheated high. In that,
is the reach still as high as?
I think he reached last year after the COVID. When he came on TV and asked for people to remain vigilant and everything. At that point of time, he almost touched 70% approval rating, almost like that point of time, and which was seen as an aberration at that point of time. That okay, whenever the crises are. During the crisis across the globe, all the leaders, their ratings actually went up. When those who were seen as a decision maker and a firm across the board, their ratings went up. But what was interesting was that Mr. Modi's ratings remained there consistently. So he went from 50. His average has been 50 in the last 6 years. From 50 to he went up to almost like 70, and then he came crashing down to almost like 36. 37, which is hovering right now. So obviously it was a crash landing from Modi's parameters, from Modi's own scale, where the bar that he had set for himself. But at the same time, I have always said that in politics you have to see that in the broader picture, that where does it stand? It's something like a student in a class who has been scoring 95, 98%, and is all of a sudden scoring second division marks. But that might be certainly is a cause of concern for everybody. But at the same time, one cannot help but notice that rest of the failures remain a failure. So at the end of the day, when you are talking about electoral politics, if you look into our ratings, which we are doing, 2013, 2012 onwards, when PM Manmohan Singh's ratings started going down, UPA's ratings started going down. At that point of time, there was an equal and opposite way of Modi and BJP ratings going up to fill up that vacuum. Right now, when NDA ratings are going down and Modi ratings are going down, there is no movement whatsoever in the numbers of Rahul Gandhi. He remains a flatliner, as rejected as he was last year, even in this point of time. So is the case of all other opposition leaders. So much so that I was looking into, before coming on your show, I was just trying to figure out, is there any movement in Mamata Banerjee's numbers? because all of a sudden after West Bengal elections, we are reading too much that if she can be an alternative across India, and yes, she has. I mean, one statistical jargon would be, if I will say, she has doubled her ratings. That would sound really nice in headlines, Priya, right? But doubled in what sense? Last year, her All India rating was 1.5%. At this point of time, her rating is 3%. Does that help? 3% when compared to 36%. So Narendra Modi is arguably facing the worst crisis of his political career, if I may say so. Not even 2002. 2002 was, in many ways, more than a one, probably a political opportunity for him. This is arguably the worst political crisis that he has faced. And his worst numbers, landed numbers, are even, more than double of Rahul Gandhi and more than 10 times of Mamta Banerjee. That tells you a lot. Nobody, in fact, it is so weird when I was talking to Shankar the other day, and we were discussing this, and he asked me, who is the number two leader who is coming in your prime minister question? You know what the name of the leader who is scoring the number two position after Narendra Modi, All India? It's called Don't Know, Can't Say. It's called Don't Know, Can't Say. The number two answer on the verbatim question, Sanjay Bhai, that we asked, it's verbatim. We do not even read out the answers. We ask verbatim. The number two scoring option is Don't Know, Can't Say. So this is how it is so different from 2012, 2013 crashing of the numbers, satisfaction rating numbers. And this is, nobody is there to fill up that vacuum. So I don't know which way it is going, but in conventional wisdom, whatever I can make sense of it, yes, Mr. Modi has been challenged. This is a difficult time for him. But if the opposition is not there to fill up that vacuum, slow and steady, probably he's going to repair. He's work harder and he's going to repair.
Shankar, this Don't Know, Can't Say has actually given us three very good prime ministers, whether it is Narasimha Rao, Manmohan Singh, or even Lal Bahadur Shastri, I think falls into that category. So there is, it's this thing, though the opposition is totally scattered. I agree with what Mr. Deshmukh said. How do you see this playing out in the political arena, these numbers?
I just must make a small correction. Lal Bahadur Shastri was actually anointed by the syndicate to succeed Jawaharlal Nehru about a year earlier. And he was a minister without portfolio in Nehru's prime minister's cabinet. But the way I look at the polling and the general perception is this. Mr. Modi came in as the action hero. Prime Minister Modi, through his campaign in 2013, 2014, and later, had all the answers for all of India's issues. And now he's facing a lot of questions. So he's falling between expectations and perceptions. There is absolutely no doubt that he must be feeling the heat of what I would say a talent deficit cabinet, a talent deficit ministerial cabinet that he is dealing with. He's also feeling the heat of a bureaucracy and a system which got shocked beyond belief and didn't react, wasn't proactive enough. In fact, even if you look at small things, not small really, I shouldn't be saying small, medical supply issues, the issues of oxygen and all, they got restored only when Mr. Modi came on the scene and started holding the meetings and directed the cabinet. I mean, these are things that the system must respond to. So I would say that while Mr. Modi is challenged, the opposition is equally inadequate to the task. It has failed to give any alternatives. We look at the Congress ruled states. Have they done better? I don't think so. They have struggled just as much as Mr. Modi. And they have contributed to the muck-up. The aspect of how the Congress did or the other opposition party ruled states is stark. What is most interesting to me is normally governments in the 7th and 8th year struggle to explain indecision. And here is a government that is struggling to explain both its decisions, which is why would it hold the elections or the Kumbh Mela or all those gatherings and allow for the farmer protests to continue. And at the other end, its indecision on vaccination procurement. And so it's a very interesting place here. And Mr. Modi is surely a very quick learner. It depends on how ahead.
Sohail, is Mr. Modi's image capital so much? We heard the gap between him and the other leaders. That this gap is enough to sustain him through this current crisis. That he can tide over it.
See, there are two things here at play. One is what Yashwant alluded to, which is polls and, how you fare. The second is your personal image and your self-image risk. Modi, in many ways, is a great believer in himself. Of him, P.G. Wodehouse would have said he erects his own statue every morning when he looks in the mirror. When you have that level, I won't say megalomania, but that level of high belief of infallibility in yourself, the first thing that gets you is when you start taking a beating on your image. It shakes your confidence. And no matter what people might say, he is a shaken man. There is no question about that. When you're shaken, you take recourse to two things. One is blame, and the second is silence. Silence is a very complicit ally of non-performance. When you don't want to perform or you can't perform, you then palm it off to someone else. Where has Modi gone wrong? Number one, the leader of the country in a crisis always has a number two person, whether he's a medical doctor, a scientist, or someone, to take the fall. Fauci was the fall Fauci for Donald Trump. Modi had no one because Modi believes in doing everything himself. Number two, what Shankar talked about, the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy was shaken the day Modi took over and said, "Ye golf games will stop and this will stop and that will stop." You can't take on the system and yet want the system to deliver because the system also wants you to fail. Remember, the Congress knew how to manage the bureaucracy better than the BJP has ever known. The BJP falls at every step in terms of management. So you had Modi in April, and Yashwant's commentary about 70% approval rating in April 2020 is testimony to the fact that the entire country said, wow, ye hame bachayega. Knowing that we are Indians, we are equally fickle. The day someone falls, usko hum log aur marte hain. So now the situation is ki isi ne hame dubaya hai. They will now not shift the blame. And for Modi to expect the blame to be shifted to the states is equally silly because you have huge diggajas at the state level. See how brilliantly Uddhav Thackeray has managed the entire process. Naveen Patnaik. These are people, see, Kejriwal is an anarchist, so we will park him on the side. But these chief ministers have said, fine, yeah, we'll do what we are supposed to do. We will not take a panga, but we will also create our own identity and our own management processes in order to alleviate the suffering of our people. Where does that leave Modi? Modi is a one-man union cabinet. He's not got ministers other than, to my mind, Nitin Gadkari, and I have to say Smriti Irani. They deliver. The other guys are only holding press conferences or wishing each other on Twitter. You can't run a country on 280 characters in every tweet that you send out. People want to see stuff. Number three, they have pissed off everyone that they can in terms of what I would call independent media. Whether that independent media is fake or honest, they are also attacking you. Today, you have a man who is the leader of the country and who is under attack and under siege from both within and from outside. A very precarious position for a leader, but not for Modi, because we also have an equally precarious, irresponsible, unstructured opposition, which again is reflected in the don't know, can't say comment that Yashwant made.
Good points all. Sanjay, your take on the ratings. You've seen ratings fall and rise. Will Modi's rise be event based, or will it just be his personality based, or will it be because there is nobody else?
Priya, first on the numbers. Why do we need numbers? Numbers are evidences for getting a sense of what is the reality. I keep saying that, so if it is raining outside, and if you want to go outside, you don't need to look at the weather forecast of that day to figure out whether you want to take an umbrella while going outside or not. You just look outside the window and you figure out that it's raining heavily. And then you don't need to look at the weather forecast. You take the umbrella and go out. So the numbers, yes, Yashwant's survey gives us the number, but even if these numbers was not in front of us, were we ready to accept that Modi's popularity has not taken a dip? Yes, it has certainly taken a dip, certainly. And it's not only Yashwant's survey which gives us an indication. There are other surveys which gives us an indication that there is a dip in Modi's popularity. The range of dip is different in different surveys, but yes, there is a clear evidence that Modi's popularity is on the decline. But the second question, I don't think that this decline is going to continue further. The way Modi has reappeared and started taking command of things, whether it is about oxygen, about vaccines, about anything related to health and several other issues. So every day now he's visible, he's holding meetings, he's sending out a message that he's in full command. Slowly and gradually, I'm not saying that this will apply to all the people. Yes, people who have lost their dear and near ones, they are not going to excuse Modi very easily. But large number of people would try to again come to terms कि चलो ये हो गया, अब क्या करें, मोदी जी ने तो किया नहीं, but now he is trying his best to bring things back on the track. Slowly and gradually, I think in next 6-8 months, things may look very different for Prime Minister Modi if things improves on the positive side.
Sohail, do you want to come in or should I get Yashwant in first?
No, I just wanted to make one limited point. Modi is not stupid. You can accuse him of many things. Stupidity is not one of them. But this time, astuteness gave way to intelligence. You needed intelligence when you manage a country, especially during a crisis. Intelligence only called for three things. One is from March 17, 2020 till April 25, 2021, you had to ramp up medical infrastructure. You had to make sure the vaccines were ordered, and you had to make sure that the lockdown was calibrated. Boris Johnson did in the UK, okay, at a much smaller level. So the fact is, I don't know why Modi switched off COVID. Either it was the lure of elections. See, I'm a great believer. The BJP is not fit for government. They are fit for elections. They've now got to start understanding how to get fit for government. They believe winning elections is like winning government policies. No, the Congress is a great government party, very poor electoral machine. That's my limited point.
Yashwant, how do you see this? Will people actually vote against someone? Because so far there's been a vote for someone. Do you see that happening?
Well, 2 points. Very quickly. I totally agree with Sanjay Bhai, and I was just on the other screen trying to look at that. Is it still going down, or is this thing has plateaued? And so I can very clearly see. I cannot share it on the screen. You haven't allowed me to share. Otherwise, I would have shown it to you. But the drop, the crash of from 60s to the 30s, that happened very steep. But in the last 2 weeks, it has plateaued around 36, 37%. And the anger also, it went from 10 to about 33, 34%. It has also plateaued now. So what I can see from the data that yes, probably the worst is over for Mr. Modi, for a number of reasons. That could be that his rock bottom number have plateaued around 36%, and his worst of people who are angry or upset, with him are kind of plateaued at 34, 35%. So I can see that this is it. This is the bottom that his ratings can slide. Probably it cannot slide further because he is now kind of back to commanding his core support base, which is not going to go down below 36%, which is what my understanding looking at the data is. So from here, he has to take it upward. And second point, which Sohail just mentioned, I tried to figure out why and where exactly this crash started happening. And it is somewhere around, what I can say is that 6th of April onwards, when your rest of the state elections were over. And public was like, okay, everything is done and dusted, and this is getting bad, and now is the time you should stop campaigning in Bengal. And I believe just within 3 days of that campaigning in Bengal, which was live, when the cases and the deaths were going up, and Prime Minister was holding rally of 500,000 people without a mask and tweeting his Twitter handle saying that "Hum gadgad hain, itni badi bheed." I think those 72 hours precisely did the damage. And after that, a complete crash started happening. This is the new age campaign. New age campaigns take your ratings up, shoot up within hours, and it also shoots them down within hours. I guess so far in 7 years, Mr. Modi's strategists have only been very happy of looking at how it is going up. For the first time, they have also realized when the crash happened, how does it looks and feels and tastes like. And I genuinely believe, if you look at, what is the anger against Mr. Modi right now? The anger is less on if there are vaccines or not, or if there is oxygen or not. Trust me, the anger is largely at the fact that when people were expecting him to drop everything,
Correct.
he was campaigning. 99% anger. If you talk to a Modi Bhakt, I'm telling you, when we do a cross tabulation, Sanjay Bhai, about whom did they vote for and whom they are asking to vote for, and figure out where exactly their anger is aimed at, 99% of anger is aimed at that when the country needed the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, the top two were campaigning for their party. They were working for their party. They were not working for their country at that point of time. And that is where it has damaged. And if I may say so, I genuinely believe that BJP as a party has completely misused to the hilt brand Modi. And Mr. Modi's biggest blunder is that he allowed his party to do so. Because
I don't buy that one, but anyway.
Yeah, because of a simple reason that, everybody says his party cannot do anything without Mr. Modi's approval, which is the fact. But he has to understand, and he has to underline somewhere, that what are the kind of electoral fights that he has to let his political and social capital wasted or not. If he is going to waste his political and social capital on every useless, worthless chief minister of the BJP who is working big zero on the ground, if he is going to allow his political capital get wasted for every cabinet minister, as Suhail said that barring two, and I totally agree with you, Suhail, barring two ministers, there is not a third minister. And the only third minister which comes to my name who is still probably maintaining his high rating is Rajnath Singh Ji. That was because of his personal stature, because he knows where to waste his political capital and where not to waste his political capital.
That's an important takeaway. Shankar, quickly, even on demonetization, a lot of people lost their, savings, businesses, but they said Modi ki niyat theek thi. Ab that niyat is being questioned कि वो अपनी party के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, देश के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं. That's where the big problem is.
Well, that's why, again, it falls between perceptions and expectations. There's a Hollywood movie, Dark Knight, Batman movie, where the lady tells Batman that you are defined by not who you think you are, but what you do. And so in the question will be answered as to how Modi addresses the economy. The perception, Bangladesh is a small country. It has been created thanks to India's intervention and everything. And for some reason or the other, there are so many messages on the WhatsApp universe about Bangladesh overtaking India in per capita terms. It's another matter that next year they will be back. India will be back, hopefully there. But the question is, how do you address the issues in the economy? The medium and small scale sector is completely crushed. So, in this pandemic, the big have grown bigger and the smaller ones have become poorer. Some of them have
Wiped out
not survived. Some of them have not survived at all. A lot of that has to be addressed. So the BJP is very good entrepreneurial, risk-taking, everything in terms of how it manages elections, in terms of the granular level of Panna Pramukh and everything. The question that people are asking is, how is that machinery not available to people to address their suffering during a pandemic? And how is that party not able to address the issues of the economy? And this is where Modi's challenge is to assemble a new team. There is a buzz about a reshuffle, grand change, whatever it happens. So, there might be a window there. But, I mean, he's ensured by the fact that Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the Congress and other parties have given him a free pass, have given BJP a free pass.
Shankar, I'm going to interrupt you. We are out of time. Quick last words from Suhail and Sanjay also. Suhail?
No, I just say that they have to distinguish between what they do, as Yashwant said, for the country, what they do for the party. The country felt let down by its government. They may vote the BJP, but they will not vote this government. The government let down the people, and that's a message that Mr. Modi must carry. A, and finally, B, the country is not run by the Prime Minister's office. It's run by the Union Cabinet. If you don't respect them, you will never have their cooperation, whether it's 2 people, 3 people, 4 people working hard.
Sanjay, last word from you.
I agree with all my 3 co-panelists, but I wanted to add just one more thing, what has resulted into Prime Minister Modi's declining popularity. The huge gap between what people saw on the ground, the reality they were facing every day, and what the government kept claiming every day through their spokesperson, that there is no shortage of medicine, there is no shortage of oxygen, everything is all right. And when people went, what people were encountering on the ground every day, day and night. So that also created a huge disenchantment of the common people with this government, that look, they keep claiming they are not ready to accept the mistakes. And when we go to these hospitals, when we are in need, nothing is available. So I think this also added to declining popularity of this government and Modi in particular.
I agree with this point. Acknowledgement seems to be a big problem. Even on the economy, we are told all is well, all is well. The GDP says 3.1, but you're saying, no, we are growing, fastest growing, we all is well. So acknowledgement is the first step towards solving the problem. I think that's something that really needs to be done. But we're totally out of time. I hope to get all of you back again, because I've really enjoyed all your points and hearing this. And I hope you all also enjoyed this too. Thank you for watching this show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.